We left off around 377, 378. 377, Touchstone says, Caragor's, playing tricks with us. And then on 378, Mogget says, the Mordicant has arrived. Okay? And he leaves Touchstone to go to Sabriel's body. So he jumps from Touchstone to Sabriel. Why? She's the one he's bound to protect or serve. He's not bound to serve Touchstone. He's bound to serve the Abhorsen. She's more or less the closest thing to the Abhorsen that's still there. Yeah, I know her father's body's there, but I think Mogget already senses he's too far gone, so to speak. So she's the one he has to go to. Okay. We're going to skip a little bit. Touchstone slips under the water. And Caragor addresses him. Says, did my hound scare you, little brother? Speaking of the Mordicant. Okay. 379. Sabriel, speaking to her father in death, they're making their way kind of back. She screams, ow! She says, I think Mogget just jumped on me. So they wait for a little bit. Top of 380. Somehow Abhorsen seemed to be able to see into life or to work out what's happening. He stands there, kind of listening, and he tells her it's almost time. When we emerge, I want you to take Touchstone, run for the southern stairs. And I just saw another parallel with Harry Potter, and I'm starting to really wonder if J.K. Rowling just really ripped off Garth Nix. It's almost time. When we emerge, I want you to take Touchstone, run for the southern stairs. Do not stop for anything at all. Once outside, climb up to the palace hill, and then run. Okay? Touchstone, he says, will know how to get there. If the Clare are watching properly, haven't got their winds mixed up, there will be a paper wing. Okay? He goes on and talks about how the paper wings were created, etc., etc. What will you be doing? Okay, so he says, when you emerge, do this. Yeah, but what's going to happen to you? Here is Sereneth. Notice he doesn't answer. Give me your sword and Estoril. The seventh bell, Estoril, the sorrowful. No, she says, there has to be another way. What does Estoril do? So he's going to take the sword, and if we were in the military, what would we consider Estoril? Or Estorils to be used kind of when? Yeah, it's a means of last resort. That's when you've tried everything else. Press the doomsday button, so to speak. Okay? He says no. There's no other way. Line 382, page 382. I've walked in death to the very precipice of the ninth gate. I know the secrets and horrors of the 9 precincts. I do not know what lies beyond. That is, I've walked through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've walked up to 9. 1 through 8 are not pleasant places. Beyond number 9, he says, I don't know. But everything that lives must go there in the proper time. Everything must go beyond number 9. That is the rule that governs our work as the Abhorsen. It also governs us. In other words, is that part of the charter? We don't know, but it's part, he says, of lack of a better phrase, the order of the universe that they inhabit. You are the 53rd Abhorsen, Sabriel. How can that be? What did Mogget tell her? I have served 10 times as many Abhorsons as years you have lived. Well, she's 18. 10 times that would be 180. Number 52 tells her she's number 53. It's not number 179 telling number 180. I think that's just a little error. In one of the two places, there's an error, possibly. Okay? I've taught you as well as I should. Let this be my final lesson. Everyone, everything has a time to die. In other words, you can't what? You can't escape death. If you're a living thing, you must die at some point. Okay? He kisses her, and for a moment she stood like a string puppet at rest. Then she flung herself against his chest, feeling the soft fabric of his surcoat. She seemed to diminish in size, till once again she was a little girl running to his embrace at the school gates. They turn together and walk out into life. Caragor laughs again, an obscene cackle that rose to a manic crescendo. There's a noise behind him, makes him start. Sabriel and her father were returning. They just stuck together to life. The ice falls from them. Sabriel's empty-handed. Why? Because Abhorsen, notice, now he's the real Abhorsen. Why? He's back in life. It's not the case where his spirit is someplace and his body is here, because while his body is here and his spirit is dead, or in death, notice she's the Abhorsen. But the two are reunited. His spirit's back with his body. For how long? Less than 1,000 heartbeats. Okay? Touchstone says, thank the charter. Why? Because he sees Sabriel back? Yeah, maybe a little bit, because there's a little bit of romantic longing there. But I think it's because he sees the real Abhorsen back, holding the sword and one of the bells. Okay? Staring, Touchstone saw, 384, that Caragor had tried to make the body he currently inhabited look like the Roger of old. But either his skills, memory, or taste were sadly lacking. Well, memory, it's been over 200 years. Skills, not everybody's a great sculptor. Okay? Taste, not everybody has the same taste in art, so to speak. Caragor stood at least 7 feet tall, his body impossibly deep-chested and narrow-waisted. Why do you think Garth Nix does this? Big old massive chest, little tiny waist. Okay, he looks ridiculous. Why else? It's a cartoon image, right? This is, cartoon Batman, cartoon Superman. This is Mr. Incredible after he gets back into shape, because Mr. Incredible at the beginning's like this, and then he gets like this, okay? This is Caragor kind of adopting, I'm going to be the Superman kind of mentality. His head was too thin, too long, mouth spread from ear to ear. Another kind of cartoon image. Who? The Joker. Eyes did not bear looking at, for they were thin slits burning with free magic fires, not eyes at all. Slits with fire behind them, red. Kind of like, not saying it is, but kind of like Voldemort when he comes out of the cauldron at the end of Book 4 in the Harry Potter series. His eyes are slits and they're red. And what does Caragor think? Notice, Abhorsen told Sabriel, he lured me here. Now he lured you here. And he's got Touchstone. Because she said, by the way, I woke up the naked guy in the boat, kind of a thing. Caragor, now I got 3 of them. 3 bearers of blood. 3 bearers of what? The parts of the charter. Okay? Touchstone kept staring. Here's Caragor's voice. Kind of like Roger's, but wet, like worm-ridden fruit. I don't have any idea what that means in terms of a voice. How a voice can be like worm-eaten and worms crawling in and out of it. Fruit. Anyways, he saw both the new twisted Karagor and the other better fashioned body he'd known as Roger. He saw the dagger again. What's happening in Touchstone's mind? It's like 200 years haven't gone. He sees his brother as he is now, but he also sees what? It's like he's reliving the event that occurred 200 years ago. He sees his brother as he was then, killing his mother. A hand grabbed him, turned around, took his sword from his grasp. He focused, sees Sabriel. She had his left sword in her right hand, now took his open palm in her left, dragging him towards the south. He lets her pull. Why? Why does he let her pull? What is happening, or beginning to happen, to Touchstone here? PTSD, possibly. Bingo. This is the berserker kind of taking over. He's losing focus on what's happening. Okay? If she doesn't grab him and start moving him along, pretty soon he's going to start flailing with those swords. And whatever gets near him is going to get sliced. He sees Sabriel's father for the first time devoid of frost, page 386. He looks hard, determined, but smiles, bows his head a fraction. Touchstone wondered why he was going the wrong way. That is, why is Sabriel pulling... Karagor's over there. Why is she pulling me this way? Because he's thinking he ought to what? Help fight? What else? Go even more personal than that.
Seek revenge.
Get revenge. Dirty, rotten bastard killed his mother. Killed his mother, too. Okay? Towards Karagor, towards the dagger, the catching cup. Mogget was on his shoulder, too, and that was unlike Mogget, going into danger. There was something else about Mogget. Oh, the collar is gone. Who took the collar off Mogget? Did Mogget reach up and... No, he can't. Sabriel? No. Abhorsen. Run, damn you, she says. Her voice snaps him out of whatever trance he'd hit, nausea hits, etc. They keep running. They start to go up the stairs. Page 387. It started softly like a tuning fork lightly struck, but grew a pure note, blown by a trumpeter of inexhaustible breath. The sound of Astoriel. So they're running and they hear it and they just kind of, if you're filming this, it just starts going in slow-mo. Why? Because they just want to lay down and sleep. They felt a terrible urge to leave their bodies, to shuck them off as worn-out baggage. Sabriel, think of life. What does she mean? Here's an old... see if I can spit this out. Back in the 70s, there was an episode of MASH. TV series from the 70s, you might have seen or heard it. But in one of the episodes, a guy's brought in by a helicopter from the front lines or something, and he's put on the operating table, and Alan Alda's character, Hawkeye's operating on him, and the guy goes into cardiac arrest. Now, this is the 1950s. They didn't know in the 1950s about, CPR, per se. But, all anachronism aside, Hawkeye jumps onto the table, so he's straddling it, takes his scalpel, stem to stern, rips open his rib cage, puts his hands on his heart, and starts massaging his heart, and says, "Live, damn it, live! Don't let the bastard win." Talking about death. Okay? The guy doesn't live, by the way. He dies. Okay? That's what Sabriel is doing here. Why? Because death is calling. She's telling Touchstone, you've got to want to live. Her voice, notice, just barely audible. She could feel Touchstone dying, his will insufficient. Well, why is his will insufficient? It's because he's not an Abhorsen? No. What might be a reason? We don't know what the exact reason is, so read into it a little bit. Maybe he wants to die. I mean, what did she just learn from her father while in death? Everything has a time to die. Touchstone might be thinking, my time's been extended by 200 years. Maybe I should have died back then. Maybe he's also, I keep using this analogy, maybe his batteries aren't yet fully charged, so to speak. Maybe he hasn't been back in life long enough to really want to live. Fight it. And notice what it takes. She smacks him across the face. Still, he slipped away. Desperate, she grabbed him by the ears. So, yelling at him, beating him.
Typical.
Typical woman, And so what does she do? Grabs him by the ears and kisses him. I don't know why by the ears, other than gives you something to really hold on to, but he has hair. It's not like he's bald, Kisses him savagely, biting his lip. Why? Because she's kinky? No. She gets all that warm blood in his mouth. Salty. Metallic sometimes. Blood tastes. If you've ever gotten a wound and you've done that, okay? His eyes clear. Probably because of probably multiple reasons. One, she's kissing me. Two, she bit me. And three, blood filling my mouth. His eyes cleared. She felt him concentrate on life, on living. Yeah, because I bet he's thinking, all right, let's keep going here. His sword fell. He brought his arms up around her. That is, sword, nuh-uh. I mean, clutch time. She's probably like, okay, buddy, you're alive. You're back. Just stop right there. Then he put his head on her shoulder and she on his. And they just stand there until the ring dies. What was that? Asteriel, the final bell. It calls everyone who hears it into death. He's thinking, Kirigor, please. He'll come back. Why? He still has a body. Your father, Magat, Dad's dead. He'll go quickly beyond the final gate. Magat, can you kill a free magic being? Does magic die, so to speak? She fingers, the silver ring on her hand, frowns, bends over to pick up the sword. She says, we got to get out of here. Okay? So, they start to go. 391. They're making their way. He's a mess. Blood, streaking from his lip, etc. And she says, notice, in a conversational tone. What does in a conversational tone mean? Calm, kind of matter of fact, like, oh, and I heard yesterday that, something happened. And so, you're a prince. Well, that's kind of nice to know. Kind of, imagine, Meghan Markle meeting, Prince Harry. So, you're a prince. She might have been commenting on the weather, notice. Well, it's sunny, and you're a prince, and I'm single. Touchstone, I'm not. Well, why isn't he? He's a bastard. Literal, not, figurative. The queen was my mother, but my father was an obscure northern noble who took up with her a few years after her consort's death. He was killed in a hunting accident. Where are we going? She says, I don't know. Father said there's going to be a paper wing. Okay? and that the Claire will tell us where to go. Touchstone. I see. In other words, all right, whatever you say, honey, because he doesn't have a clue what she's talking about. They start running. Why are we running? Bottom of 392. Touchstone says the scavengers are following us. She sees where he points, and yep, Sabriel. I wonder if they deal with the dead. To do their deeds when sunlight lends its aid. Touchstone. Does it really matter? They don't intend us any good, so they keep running. And 394, she starts to laugh. Why? Because they've got a hell of a long way still to go. The laugh became a shocked cry as something struck her in the ribs, like a sucker punch. Arrow. Touchstone yells out, Sabriel. He shouts her name again, and then Sabriel feels charter magic explode into life within him. As it grew, he leaped up, thrust his arms out down towards the enemy, towards that overgifted marksman. 8 small suns fly from his fingertips, and the guy just disappears. She wonders how he could have that kind of strength. And then he picks her up, pack and all, and starts running with her. Okay? He was berserk. Nothing could stop him now, save total dismemberment. Okay? So, Black Knight, Monty Python, cut his arm off, he's going to keep going. Cut his other, he's going to keep going, kind of a thing. 396. Stop, stop, stop. Begging him to come out of the rage. He doesn't hear her. She says, we're safe. Stop. He keeps running. Okay? He finally collapses. There's the paperweight. 398. The Clare say, hi, we're the Clare. You must be the Abhorsen, and the king. Okay, so no longer just bastard prince. Now, according to the Clare, he's kind of been elevated. She's like, huh? They smile, they kneel down, one by Sabriel's side, the other by Touchstone's. Sabriel felt charter magic slowly welling up in them. This bottom of 398. Like water rising in a spring, and then it flowed into her, taking away the hurt and pain of the arrow. Next, Touchstone's breath calms down. They say, we know about those people following you. Your friend, the king, ran very, very fast. We saw him run yesterday or tomorrow. Because the Clare, their conception of time is kind of strange. Okay? Or their perception, of time's kind of strange. So, they keep talking, and let's see here. Page 400, they say, take the red and gold paperweight. Why? It's painted in the royal colors. Okay? She says, yes. Her fathers, her families, the kingdom's enemy, etc., etc. The twins, the two Clare, tell them, Caragor's body is an Engelsteer. That is, you got to go back over the wall. Do they tell them where? No, because it could be just south of the wall, or it could be all the way down here. But she does have some clues as to where it might be. So, let's see here. Page 401. They give Sabriel a vision of where she needs to go. They command her to watch. It clouded over at that touch, briefly showed a scene of whirling snow, a glimpse of the wall, then steadied into a moving vision, like a film shot from a traveling car. Waverley College had frowned on films, but she'd been to see some. The window showed typical Ancelstean farmland, etc., etc. The view raced closer towards these two men, veered around them. She sees a sign, Waverley, 2.5 miles. A few seconds later, Waverley Village. Sabriel recognizes all this. Picture still moves slowly. Goes to a hill. She knows where the hill is. It changes again, somehow sinking through the stone, down between the lines of mortar. Page 403. Zigzagging around the blocks. A bronze sarcophagus lay under the cairn, metal crawling with free magic perversion. The vision dodged, and there's a body. The scene shifted again to the face of the body. Handsome face, that is, not long and thin like the thing that came out in the reservoir. A face that showed what Karagor once had been, the human face of Roger, his features clearly showing he shared a mother with Touchstone. Okay? So they hear Karagor scream, and the Claire say, "You saw?" She's like, "Yeah." She knows exactly where the body is now. Okay? Just a matter of getting there. So, let's see here. They give Touchstone a hug. They give Sabriel a hug, 406. They say, "You've got 2 minutes." They get in the paper wing, page 408. Touchstone waking to the rush of cold air on his face. What happened? What's he mean, what happened? Yeah, what'd I miss? We're going to Angelstier, across the wall, to find Karagor's body. Oh, across the wall. Good. Why? Why is that all he says? He's exhausted, he's lightheaded, he's not focused. Okay? So, meanwhile, back at the wall, chapter 25. Okay? Someone comes to Colonel Horace and says, there's an aircraft coming in. So, they see it. Sabriel, Touchstone get out. They go and speak to Colonel Horace, page 415. They get out of the plane, and Sabriel says, "I'd better get the books too." 2 charter magic books were fine, untouched by snow, but the Book of the Dead seemed wet. Sabriel pulls it out, found it wasn't snow wet. Beads of dark, thick blood were welling up out of its cover. Silently, she wipes it on the hard crust of the snow, then she tucks the books away. Touchstone. Why was the book like that? I think it's reacting to the presence of many deaths. There's great potential here for the dead to rise. This is a very weak point. Okay? Well, why else? I mean, that is one reason. But what is now going to happen at the wall? The dead will rise. Why? Because Abhorson's dead. He's the one who built the flutes. Okay? They keep the dead dead. So, how long have they been gone? Because before she left, she said, well, it'll be about 2 weeks. Well, they've been gone 2 weeks. Let's see here. Pick up with 418. Horace says, "You both look done in. You hungry? Need someplace to sleep?" Sabriel says, "Yeah, something to eat. No time to sleep." When was the full moon? 2 days ago? He looks at her, thinking she no longer reminded him of his own daughter, who's about the same age. Why? She's been through some serious, yeah. She had become Abhorsen, a person beyond his kin. Kin, what does that mean? Knowledge, experience, awareness, understanding. Whereas before he thought he understood her a little, now she is way beyond him. He says, full moon? It's tonight. So what does that mean? Tonight the dead arise, I've been in the old kingdom at least 16 days. He says, time's strange between the two. We've had patrols swear they were out for 2 weeks. They come back after 8 days. Okay, Touchstone's trying to make sense of what's going on around him because there's a loudspeaker on a pole and he hears a voice coming out of it. He's like, what is this thing? What is this magic you have down here? Okay? And they explain it. Sabriel, it won't work tonight. No technology will. Why? Magic. Technology, electricity, all fails. It's another little thing where I'm really starting to think J.K. Rowling read this and just completely ripped him off. Wow, I hadn't even thought of that.
Paper wings are red and gold and green and silver. Then I think right on right with
Yeah.
blue.
Anyways, Horace says, shh, don't talk about the Adjecme around the Olgers say, you know. He doesn't want his troops scared. She goes, sorry. So, 420, he asks, why don't you have time to sleep? This is his way of saying, what serious are we going to be dealing with tonight? Father died yesterday. Wind flutes will fail tonight at moonrise. The dead here will rise with the moon. Sorry to hear about your father, but I'm more sorry to hear about us. He's getting at. Can't you bind them? She says, well, yeah, that's all there was to deal with. You ever heard the name Karagor? So he's holding a cup of tea, a glass of tea. She asks, have you heard the name Karagor? And he just kind of goes, your father spoke of him. One of the greater dead, I think, imprisoned beyond the seventh gate. More than greater. The great. In other words, the greatest. As far as I know, he's the only dead spirit to also be a free magic adept.
So with that, would he be like the opposite of the Aberson, since he's able to do both? Because isn't the Aberson able to kind of mess with free magic a little bit as well?
I don't know if you'd call him the opposite of Abhorsen or the opposite of like Mogget. Because Mogget's a free magic being. Okay? He is a free magic adept. That is, he is capable of harnessing free magic. Mogget is free magic. Okay? So yeah, probably closer as a foil to Abhorsen, the opposite of an Abhorsen. Which, as far as we know, there's never really, unless you read the fourth book, there's never really been one kind of before. And she says, Touchstone says, yeah, and he's a renegade member of the royal family. He's no longer imprisoned. He's alive. All these things give him power, but there's a weakness there too. Karagor's mastery of free magic, in much of his power in both life and death, is dependent on the continual existence of his original body. He hid it long ago, when he first chose to become a dead spirit. And he hid it in Angelsteer, and in fact, he hid it near Wiverley, less than 40 miles away from where they are. What's her point? Find the body, destroy it, he's gone. Forever. Okay? Horus. And so now he's come to fetch it. When? Night. With an army of the dead, if he can emerge out of death close to the wall, he may come earlier. He says the sun. Where he can work the weather, bring fog or dense clouds. I go, great. So what can we do? If we can get to his body and destroy it, that'll destroy him? Sabriel. No, but it'll weaken him. So there may be a chance. That is, if we can weaken him, then I might be able to send him back. All right. So we've got 3 or 4 hours of daylight. But we already know he can do what? He can play with the weather. So bring in clouds, bring in fog. That's going to lessen the daylight, make it more... Okay. So, Sabriel says, the dead will have to emerge in life in the old kingdom and physically cross the wall. Would probably be best not to try and stop him. Horace, can't do that. What does she mean it would be best not to try to stop him?
You can't stop it.
What is she really saying?
You'll die if
You'll die. This will be a losing proposition. There is no chance. Look at Horace's reply. Afraid we can't do that, ma'am. I threw in the ma'am there. A lot of your soldiers will die to no purpose, simply because they'll be in the way. Another Harry Potter. Wow. Anything and anybody that gets in Caragor's way will be destroyed. So he says, so you want us to just let him cross? Throw open the gates and say, welcome home, Caragor. I mean, that's essentially what Horace is asking her. Well, no, I do want to fight him, but at a time and place of our choosing. Okay? Horace understands the strategy of that, but what else does he understand? Why not? Bingo. I'm a soldier. I'm in command. My men are soldiers. They know I'm in command. They will follow my orders. And his orders are to do what? Defend the kingdom. I can't just let an enemy invade. Okay, even if the enemy is the living dead. What can they do? Even though they can't win, what can they conceivably do? Slow them down. So, she says, if you lend me all the soldiers here who have the charter mark and a little charter magic, we might have enough time to destroy Caragor's body. That is, give me all the charter mages. We'll go and try to find the body and destroy it. Caragor's power may only be slightly lessened, but many of his minions will be weaker, perhaps so weak, etc., etc. And so what am I supposed to do with the rest of the garrison? That is all the privates, let's say, who have no magical abilities. So we'll just stand aside and let them march in? You probably won't have a choice. Stands up, walks forward, and says, I am currently acting as a general officer commanding the whole perimeter. General Ashenburg has returned south due to ill health, temporary situation. He stopped pacing. He stares back at Sabriel and Touchstone, but his eyes seem to see something well beyond them and the rusty corrugated iron that walled the dugout. What do his eyes, read into it, what do you think his eyes are seeing? Or what is he looking at beyond them that is more than just the rusty corrugated iron of the dugout? What's he really seeing? Possibly. You're close.
His daughter.
Possibly. You're a little farther away. His duty. His job. What is his job? Defend the perimeter. That's it. How does he do that? Well, he said, I can give you 12 charter mages. Not real super powerful ones, but then what else must he do? I'll give you 12 charter mages, half of the full complement of the scouts. I'll also add some more mundane force, a detachment, mundane, people without any magic, to help protect you. I can't promise we won't fight at the perimeter. She says, we need you too. Why? You're the strongest charter mage the garrison has. I can't. I'm in command. I can't leave my post. His post being to lead his men. My responsibilities lie here. She says, you'll never be able to explain tonight anyways. That is, whatever happens after tonight, you're not going to have to defend yourself to some higher up somewhere down in the capital. Not to any general down south or to anyone who hasn't crossed. He says, I'll think about it. Okay? So, he sends a message, and page 427, He says, I will come. I am coming. Touchstone. You have the sight. What sight? What did you see? Horace. The usual thing. The usual thing. Sabriel. What do you mean? Okay, she's supposed to be way above him. She doesn't have a clue what he means. Touchstone jumped at the sudden noise and vibration that's there in the car. And she, in Sabriel, what did he mean, the usual thing? Touchstone looked at her. Sadness and exhaustion vying for first place in his gaze. He took her hand in his own, traced a line across her palm. What's this mean? He saw, I'm not going to make it through tonight. Oh. She sniffed and looked at the back of Horace's head, eyes blurring. Why? Tears. What's she thinking of? His daughter. His daughter's going to be like she is, fatherless. He has a daughter the same age as me, back. Why does everything, ... everyone, ... what's the ... Die. Why does everyone die? Why does everything die? Why is there death? Who's she asking this? Does she expect literally just to Touchstone to say, oh, well, Sabriel, if you read the Book of the Dead, it'll really explain it. No. She's asking the universe. She's asking the charter. Why? Okay. She was silent for the first 10 miles, her head bowed. Is she bowing in prayer to the charter to save them? Why is her head bowed? Josie, you sat there and shook your head. Sadness? She's thinking, what does she know is going to happen this evening? Our terminology, okay, a lot of people are going to die. All hell will break loose. Literally, yeah, the brown stuff's going to hit the fan, okay? I mean, Karagor is, for all intents and purposes, in their world, our version of Satan. What does Satan mean, by the way? The name. It means something very specific. Adversary. The great adversary. So when the mad mullahs of Iran lead their chants and go, we're going to take on the great Satan, the Americans, the great Satan, they are saying the great adversary, the great enemy. She knows this is what's going to happen tonight. Right? I'm all right now, she says to Touchstone. He nods. They're going through the town of Bain. They're on the high street, which is the big shopping street. Townspeople stare back. Why? Well, because there's a convoy of cars, of military vehicles going through the town. They're not used to seeing this. They're kind of wondering, what's going on? And what does Sabriel and Touchstone know? You poor fools, you're probably all going to be dead by this time tomorrow. Okay? He keeps holding her hand. 4:30. I'm all right, she says. You can let go of my hand. Touchstone smiled. Flexed his hand a little bit. Squeezed her hand a little tighter. She looked a bit puzzled. Smiles. Her fingers slowly relaxed till their hands lay flat on the seat. Little fingers just touching. So what's he doing by flexing in her hand? I'm with you. I'm not going to leave you. I understand. You don't want to hold hands with me. Okay. Why? Probably because we're going to face some serious, tonight. So they keep going on. Skip a bunch. Skip all that. 4:34. She tells Touchstone, well, let me ask this. 4:34 and 4:35. Why does she tell Touchstone? I'd have liked to have seen you in the royal guard, in the old kingdom before the stones were broken. Look what else she says. Touchstone. Oh, you mean in my day? I would have liked that too. That is, I would have liked for you to have seen me in the old days. When I was a hot young, stud and in my armor and everything. Peaceful and sort of slow. Sometimes I thought life was too slow, too predictable. Well, what did Bilbo Baggins think at the beginning of The Hobbit? Life is nice and slow. No, we don't want adventures here, etc. And he gets back and he kind of thinks, that was fun. That wasn't so bad. Well, if you read The Lord of the Rings, Frodo says when he agrees to take the ring, I sometimes thought life was a little bit too slow in the Hobbit, in the Shire, and that hobbits were kind of fat, dumb, and happy, and they needed something to rouse them. He's saying, back then, I thought life was what? What does he really mean? A little too slow. Boring. Not boring now, right? Not boring when his brother killed his mother and sisters. I'd prefer that now. Yeah, most people, when the shit's hitting the fan, really would like it to be nice and calm and peaceful again. Sabriel, I used to think like that at the school. Dreaming about the old kingdom. Proper charter magic. Dead to bind, princes to be. And he says, rescued? Married, she throws out. Absently. And I kind of imagine she goes, oops, didn't mean that. She seemed intent on watching Horace. He looked like he was getting bad news over the telephone. Touchstone didn't speak. Everything seemed to sharpen and focus for him. Centering on Sabriel. In other words, she mentioned marriage and he suddenly gets tunnel vision. Her black hair gleaming like a raven's wing in the afternoon sun. Now, that's a beautiful description. And that's the description of someone who has fallen madly, deeply in love. He just looks at her hair and goes, oh, baby. I love her, he thought. But if I say the wrong thing now, I may never. What? Marry? Yeah, but if he says nothing now, he may never ... Because time's a wasting. The dead are about to rise. Satan's coming. Touchstone watches Horace hand the phone back and come towards them, suddenly conscious that he probably only had 5 seconds to be alone with Sabriel. Not to be alone with Sabriel, not that kind of being alone. To say something, anything. I love you. Hope you don't mind. Like, what's she going to do? Whip out her sword? Sabriel looks back at him, smiles, almost despite herself. Her sadness at her father's death was still there. Her fears for the future, seeing Touchstone staring apprehensively at her, somehow gave her hope, and she says, I don't mind. I think I might love you too. Really not the best reply, ladies. So if somebody says, I love you, don't go, well, I might love you. Either don't say anything or go the whole way, okay? Charter helped me, but now is what? Yeah, really? Now you want to try to slip a ring? No. Because keep in mind, what imagery do rings already have in the books? Binding, ball and chain kind of a thing. So he says, fog's coming in. Horace does. He's working the weather. Okay, we're obviously not finishing this today. So they keep going on. Let's see here. Sabriel says, what's going to happen once the sarcophagus is open? She's going to need everyone's help. So they get to the cairn. Everybody know what a cairn is?
It's a place where you bury the dead.
pile of rocks. They're all over in England. Okay? Sometimes they're mounds, burial mounds like this. Go to Stonehenge sometime. Walk around the circle of Stonehenge, look at the big rocks that you can't go up to. If you're smart, get a pair of really dark black glasses and a white cane. You know what that means, of course. Because if you then go to the park guides, they will take you up to the rocks. Feel the rocks that have been there for 5,000 years, if you're blind. I once had a student who went for a course there and got to do that. The rest of us, sighted people, have to stay about 50 to 75 feet away and look at them from a distance. But walk around Stonehenge, look at the pretty rocks, and then turn your back to it. And walk around the ring, looking outwards. And you will see at almost every degree point of the compass a burial mound. The place is scattered with them. It's within like a 20-mile radius. There's something like 150 or 200 burial mounds. Okay? But cairns are usually just rocks piled on top of each other over a body. Okay? Not necessarily a full dugout tomb and such. Okay, we'll pick up. We'll either pick up with chapter 27, or I will post and email you a video lecture covering the end of the book. Because Bartimaeus is longer than this. And we've only got, I think, 6 days for Bartimaeus.